Before many of us can enjoy the fruits of a new year, we have to reevaluate and assess where we are in terms of our goals, our financial ambitions. Saving more money, paying off debt, and spending less often top the list. And that's our focus today on Jamaica Magazine, Money Management. We look at how the Ministry of Finance and Planning managed the government's financial resources in 2014. But now, the news. Please stay tuned.
There is no vaccine for the chikungunya virus. If you've been infected, take paracetamol such as Panadol, Cetamol, and Tylenol to reduce pain and fever. Sleep under mosquito netting and get plenty of rest. Take showers or sponge baths in room temperature water to lower fever, especially in children, and drink lots of fluids to prevent dehydration. If your symptoms worsen, go and see a doctor. Do not take aspirin as this could cause bleeding, and never use rubbing alcohol. To learn more, call 1-888-1-LOVE. That's 1-888-663-5683.
Good day, I'm Andrea Chisholm and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, January 7. 340 Jamaicans left the island on Tuesday for jobs in Ontario, Canada, made possible on the government's Overseas Employment Program. They are the first batch of farm workers for 2015 and will be on the program for the next 8 months. Labour Minister Derek Kelly, who addressed the workers before they left, said they would be employed in greenhouses.
To do crop production, food processing, tobacco plants, as well as nurseries, which are involved in the cultivation of peppers, tomatoes, eggplants, and cucumbers. You'll also be engaged in packaging, tobacco and fruits for shipment.
The minister urged the farmers to maintain professionalism on the job.
I'm urging you to observe the regulations as much as possible as it regards your health and safety at the workplace. I want to advise you also not to breach rules, such as being absent without leave.
Minister Kelly also underscored the importance of the Overseas Employment Program, pointing out that for 2014, remittance inflows from Canada totaled $1.7 billion. Over 7,950 workers got jobs in Canada in 2014, 90% of whom participated in the Farm Work Program. The Labour Ministry is projecting that more persons will benefit from the program this year. And the Labour Ministry is inviting persons to apply for temporary positions in the hospitality industry in the United States. The vacancies are for bellmen with driver's licenses, landscapers, chefs, front desk personnel with sales experience, housekeepers, greenskeepers for golf court maintenance, and caddies. Suitable candidates must be between the ages of 21 and 40.
Minimum of 2 years working experience in the hotel industry with certificate of training. No criminal record, valid passport with at least 1 year in your possession.
Persons should not apply if they've been denied a U.S. visa in the last 12 months or if they've been deported from the United States, Canada, United Kingdom, or any other country. Interested candidates should drop off detailed resumes along with their passports and recommendations from the hotels they have worked at the Ministry of Labour and Social Security in their parish by Friday, January 9. The Norman Manley International Airport is set to receive a walk-through thermal scanning unit as the country continues to deal with the threat of Ebola. This as the Vincent Hosang Family Foundation from the Jamaican diaspora donated $38,000 to purchase the equipment. With this recent donation, Jamaica will now have 3 thermal scanning machines. Donations were previously made by the Sagicor Group and Supreme Ventures Limited to purchase machines for the Sangsa International Airport and the Falmouth Cruise Ship Complex. Under the Jamaica Ebola Prevention Program, government is to acquire 5 state-of-the-art thermal machines to scan for fever, one of the symptoms of Ebola. The National Building Act to govern the construction sector is now being reviewed by the Legislative Committee of Cabinet. State Minister in the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development, Colin Fagan, says that bill and the Disaster Risk Management Act shows government's commitment to disaster resilience.
The ministry remains committed to advancing the efforts of building a Jamaica that is resilient to disasters in general and certainly for earthquakes.
Mr. Fagan was speaking on Tuesday at the official launch of Earthquake Awareness Month. Acting Director General of the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, Richard Thompson, said the month-long commemoration would ensure that Jamaicans were better prepared to deal with earthquakes.
We made a decision not just to have a week of activity as it relates to earthquake preparedness, but to stretch it into a month of activity, given how significant we consider seismic activities to be and how significant we consider earthquake preparedness to be.
Earthquake Awareness Month is being celebrated under the theme Community Strengthening and Awareness, the recipe for building earthquake resilience. And finally, the Ministry of Education will this month implement stricter guidelines to manage CXC school-based assessments SBAs to improve accountability. Under the revised system, schools will now be required to comply with guidelines in 6 key areas: internal quality assurance, accountability, communication, monitoring, teacher support, and school readiness. Education officers and a team of assessors from the Education Ministry will continuously monitor schools to ensure compliance. The Ministry is warning that students at delinquent schools will suffer, as the SBAs represent between 20% and 70% of their final grade. The new SBA management guidelines are in response to previous allegations of malpractice on the part of some students and school personnel. And that's it for GIS News today. I'm Andrea Chisholm. Thank you for watching.
The Ministry of Health in 2014, supporting human capital development.
We intend to ensure that our health facilities are able to cope with the growing needs of the Jamaican population.
Catch the review on Thursday, January 8, 2015, inside Jamaica Magazine.
The activities of the Ministry of Finance and Planning impact all ministries, departments and agencies of government, as well as industries and services provided by the private sector. We now review how the ministry has been able to enhance the socio-economic development of the country despite fiscal constraints.
In 2014, Jamaica passed all 3 IMF tests.
The program is on track.
Made wide-ranging changes to strengthen the tax system.
No one should expect that it can be business as usual.
And finalized the public sector action plan to implement the transformation program.
This transformation requires us to have greater impact in serving our clients, while at the same time reducing costs, optimizing efficiency, and ensuring value for the available resources.
It was all about crafting and implementing programs to reform the economy and place it on a path to prosperity and growth, acting on strategic priority number 1.
Overall, policy implementation under the program remains strong. All quantitative performance targets, indicative targets, and structural benchmarks were met.
That became a familiar statement in 2014. The IMF's executive board confirmed that Jamaica passed all 3 tests up to September 2014, resulting in a perfect track record under the extended fund facility since May 2013. As at December 2014, Jamaica received a total of $551.2 million under the agreement, and by all indications, the country is on track to pass its 7th test for the quarter ending December 2014. Both the managing director and her deputy at the multilateral agency gave Jamaica high praises when they visited the country in June and October. The international community was also pleased with the country's determination to execute its economic reform program, evidenced by Jamaica securing an $800 million bond on the capital markets in July.
The fact that the international community is once again lending to Jamaica and not just short term, but 11 years is significant and says something about their confidence in our policies.
On top of that, Jamaica's net international reserves stood at approximately $2.2 billion at the end of September, and inflation for the January to October period was about 8.2%.
Inflation is expected to hover around this level for the rest of the fiscal year.
As for growth figures, the Jamaican economy grew by 1.6% in the first 3 months of the year and 1.2% in the April to June quarter. The Planning Institute of Jamaica PIOJ, however, reported a 0.8% contraction for the July to September period due mainly to drought conditions. But with growth projected for a number of sectors, particularly agriculture and hotels and restaurants,
we expect real GDP for the October to December 2014 quarter to grow within the range of 0.5% to 1.5%.
As government pursued a credible macroeconomic program in 2014, there was also support from multilateral agencies. The World Bank approved a new country partnership strategy in May, which will run until 2017, allowing Jamaica to receive a $42 million loan for an integrated community development project. There was also approval in July for a sum of $37 million to continue the rollout of the public sector transformation project. A $50 million agreement was also signed with the World Bank in September to implement the Foundations for Competitiveness and Growth project in a bid to strengthen the business environment.
It will provide resources for private businesses, private firms to undertake feasibility or pre-feasibility studies in relation to strategic investment projects that they may be embarked upon.
Jamaica also received $11.5 billion from the European Union in May for development assistance over the next 2 to 5 years. And in August, the EU provided $1.7 billion more in grant funding to support the sugar industry. 2 loan agreements valued at $140 million were also signed with the Inter-American Development Bank in February 2014.
Among the central tax reform objectives is the strengthening of tax administration, improved rates of compliance.
And so in March 2014, it became mandatory for 3 main categories of persons to electronically file their tax returns. Self-employed persons also started using a single SO3 form to file their tax returns. And the government introduced an employment tax credit for unregulated companies and some categories of self-employed persons. Tax Administration Jamaica also began a pilot project for electronic funds transfer to pay income tax and pensioners' refunds directly into the bank accounts of customers. And on the legislative side of things, Parliament passed fiscal rules legislation in March to improve transparency and ensure a sustainable budget by putting a cap on what the country can spend.
The rules alone won't guarantee, but they represent the passage of these enhancements in the legislation will at least demonstrate that we recognize that there's a problem and that we are committed to a solution.
There is, however, an escape clause subject to parliamentary approval that allows the fiscal rules to be suspended if there is a major shock in the economy. Meanwhile, both houses of Parliament passed the Tax Penalties Harmonization Act and the Tax Collection Miscellaneous Provisions Act to improve tax collection and address tax avoidance and evasion. And in keeping with the omnibus tax regime, which came into effect in January, government lowered the import duty on some products. The import duty on solar panels and the 20% common external tariff on smartphones were also removed. Creating more opportunities for businesses to grow and develop was also part of the Finance Ministry's agenda for the year 2014. The Development Bank of Jamaica, DBJ, set a $9 billion lending target for the financial year, $3 billion of which was for micro, small and medium-sized enterprises. Up to October 2014, over 4,700 loans were approved, valuing $2.25 billion. 8 proposals from fund managers were pre-qualified for entry into the Jamaica Venture Capital Fund. A panel of investors was organized to provide expert advice, and the legal advisors began the development of a toolkit to guide the legal and regulatory changes to develop Jamaica's venture capital industry.
Which will provide access for all stakeholders to the standardized documents and the guidance as to the international best practices to be followed in undertaking venture capital transactions.
DBJ also rolled out a $13 million voucher program to provide technical assistance to about 85 MSMEs. As at November 2014, 17 vouchers valuing $3.4 million were issued to 14 MSMEs. In 2014, government could not be fiscally prudent or pursue a credible macroeconomic program without continuing the public sector transformation program.
Transformation must also involve a positive attitude towards quality and timely service delivery, and productivity must be at a constantly high level across the service.
Cabinet finalized an action plan to roll out the program, and initiatives continued to make the public sector more efficient and customer-friendly. Among them was the August launch of the automated system for customs data, ASICUDA. The $4 million system will streamline the process involved in the transshipment of goods.
The benefits are not restricted to that. The simplification of the process, the reduction of the processing time that flows from it is an important part. We need the additional revenues which can flow.
The government also began the process of merging the Jamaica Racing Commission and the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Commission. While those talks continue, the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act was amended in May to make provisions for online gaming and mobile betting, while implementing a fixed penalty system for those who breach the regulations. The enterprise team overseeing the divestment of K-Manistrack Limited also completed its analysis of the entity, and the plans were announced for the National Contracts Commission to be separated from the Office of the Contractor General with its own office and staff, and then renamed the Public Procurement Commission. The Public Procurement Act 2014 was also tabled in Parliament in July. The year 2014 was a success for the government. By being financially responsible while embarking on a credible macroeconomic program, strategic priority number 1 was accomplished. The mission will continue in 2015 to help Jamaica achieve Vision 2030, the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business.
Guys, I'm not ready.
Ready a long time. Let's go.
Ready, Mona?
Yeah. Oh, Shelly, I have a file for you for tomorrow, okay?
Alright.
I'm gonna leave it on your desk.
Sure, go right ahead.
But Shelly, you don't shut down the computer.
But it not gonna do nothing.
But of course, when you leave it on, it burns excess energy.
I say go?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you know that the country foots the bill to import the fuel that produces electricity? Let's all play our part to conserve on energy by ironing once per week, unplugging all appliances when not in use, and avoid keeping the refrigerator open for a long period of time when removing food. Get smart. Don't get left in the dark.
It's all about the new, a new year with a vast array of possibilities. But to make the best use of these opportunities, there are physical, spiritual, and emotional things we need to leave behind in order to reach our true potential. So here are 10 things you should consider letting go for the new year. Forget the things that do not strengthen or empower you. Do not feel guilty for doing what you truly want to do. Release your fear of the unknown and take small steps towards your goals. Let go of your regrets. Being overly anxious is another character trait you should leave behind. Be accountable for your life and exercise your choices to accept or change situations that you don't like. Stop thinking your dreams are not important. Stop thinking everyone else is happier, more successful, or better off than you are. You are where you need to be, and by maximizing the opportunities provided at the point you're at, you will be taken to the next step of your journey. Let go of your anger. Remember what Nelson Mandela said. Resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies. It's true. And finally, stop thinking that you have to know or you have to have the answer before proceeding. You will learn the way on the way. So for 2015, do everything you can each day to become the best of who you can be.
Meeting the people whose lives have been changed, for whom a bright future is now within reach. Luis Alberto Moreno interacts with young Jamaican men who now see their way to marketable skills and paying jobs. Mr. Moreno is the president of the Inter-American Development Bank, a powerful multilateral agency with an interest in developing countries such as Jamaica. Today, he's seeing firsthand the impact of the billions of dollars the IDB has provided in grants and loans for local programs.
What you saw were youngsters on the STEP program, that is to say school leaving age, but who need skills. And they were all students on the PATH program who got these skills and are getting skills as mechanics, automotive engineers.
Students at the Heart-run Jamaica German Automotive School are among thousands of Jamaicans who benefit every year from a 45-year-old relationship between Jamaica and the IDB. To mark that anniversary, the IDB president visited the island in December 2014.
Our commitment to Jamaica is a very solid one. Our total lending to Jamaica exceeds that of the World Bank and the IMF put together. So we take our relationship with Jamaica very seriously.
As proof of that commitment, the IDB is setting up new country offices in Jamaica. Ground was broken at the site on Montrose Road for the $13 million building, which will have special energy-saving features.
We want to make this building into an example of the kinds of building the bank has for the future, where they are lead certificate, that means low in emissions, big energy savings, easy to work with.
Construction is set to begin this summer and completed early 2017.
I really want to thank you for selecting Jamaica, for building this office. I know it will redound to the benefit of the Jamaican people and certainly of our region.
During the two-day official visit in December 2014, Luis Alberto Moreno also visited the site of another IDB-funded project, one that will eventually produce more than 400 jobs for Jamaicans and add to Kingston's stock of hotel rooms. It's a $1.75 billion project to construct the Marriott Hotel in New Kingston, the joint effort of a group of local investors with support from the IDB. Construction began in July 2013 and is expected to be completed this summer. Other private sector groups got a chance to speak with the IDB president at a luncheon at the Jamaica Pegasus. Mr. Moreno didn't lose the opportunity to push them to greater degrees of cooperation.
Business people can turn their backs and say, you know, government should do this or that or the other. And equally, governments can say business should do this or that or the other. That conversation doesn't lead you anywhere. That conversation only loses time. And we are in a world where time matters.
And with Jamaica set to record 1% growth for fiscal year 2014-2015, the finance minister again urged the private sector to invest more in the country.
It will require, in some cases, a new way of doing things, being innovative, exploring new markets, focusing on products that are higher up the value chain and products that are
particularly directed for export markets.
The IDB president also held talks with the Prime Minister and commended her administration for the successful implementation of Jamaica's economic reform program.
Jamaica will have certainly better days ahead.
It's optimism shared by Richard Biles, co-chair of the Economic Program Oversight Committee, who pointed to positive trends in the economy like the passing of 6 quarterly IMF tests.
President Moreno, Jamaica thanks the IDB, and in particular you, for your tremendous assistance in getting us to where we are today. We ask that the IDB and yourself continue to work with us as we traverse this long and perilous path back to stability and growth. With your assistance, and indeed that of all our partners, I believe Jamaica will surprise the world and get it right this time.
In keeping with the IDB's focus on development, Mr. Moreno made a contribution to the country's health services, $250,000 to bolster government's campaign against chikungunya and the work being done to prevent Ebola.
For a country like Jamaica that has such an important brand as a tourism destination, one outbreak of Ebola, it could destroy the tourism industry. So this is no small matter.
Jamaica and the Inter-American Development Bank working together to develop and implement programs to improve the lives of Jamaicans, all in a bid to create a Jamaica that is the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business.
What are you doing to help the fight against crime?
Sitting on the corner, minding your own business, definitely not going to work.
It is time for us to unite.
Unite. Unite for change.
Citizens coming together to make their respective communities safer. The police, schools, public health, business, churches, NGOs, parents and neighborhood watch volunteers.
As we, the police, do our job,
we as citizens need to do our part as well.
Report crimes or even suspicious activities.
Let's all work together
as one united front against crime.
And make Jamaica the place of choice to
live, work, raise families, and do business.
Unite for Change, an initiative of the Ministry of National Security.
So, after you have redefined your goals, it's time to act with determination and firmness. When you act, don't be so preoccupied with the single moment in which you will attain your objective. Enjoy the process. Delight in the present moment in which transformation will take place. Use our Facebook and Twitter pages to share with me what you will be doing differently in the new year. You can review this and other programs on our YouTube channel, and the JIS website has a host of information that you might find useful. So please give us a visit. I'm Oroya Eubanks. Thank you for joining me again on Jamaica Magazine. I believe you will have a fulfilling and inspiring new year.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.